Beloved chosen one, listen carefully. Heaven has paused everything around you to deliver this message. You can feel it, can't you? The trembling in your spirit, the quiet unease that whispers that something unseen is moving. The wind around your life is not random, it is prophetic. You are standing between what was and what is being birthed. And heaven is warning you, danger is near, not to destroy you, but to transform you. You've been walking through confusion, through moments when plans collapsed, when doors slammed shut, when silence filled the air and you wondered if heaven forgot you. But this is the whisper before the storm. When God prepares to lift his chosen higher, he first removes every false comfort. Every delay you've endured was divine defense. Every rejection was a secret rescue. You are being stripped of distractions because something sacred is about to unfold. The danger you sense is subtle. It hides in ease, in procrastination, in the quiet suggestion that says, "You've done enough. Just rest." That is not peace, it's seduction. Darkness rarely comes loud. It creeps in, disguised as comfort. It wants you numb. It wants you still. But you cannot fall asleep in this hour. You were born for this moment. Your pain was not wasted. Your waiting was not empty. You are not ordinary. You carry a mark that heaven recognizes and hell fears. Every setback you faced has revealed the truth. You are a divine weapon hidden in plain sight. And now, the whisper of God comes again, saying, "Stay awake. The time of testing is near." Everything shaking around you is not punishment, it's purification. The Spirit is revealing who truly governs your heart, fear or faith, delay or destiny. Heaven is silent, not because it has abandoned you, but because it is watching you, watching if you will still believe when no one applauds, when no one sees, when all you have left is promise. That silence is sacred. It is the sound of heaven taking notes. The edge you stand on right now, the uncertainty, the pressure, the fatigue, it's not coincidence, it's calibration. The moment before breakthrough always feels like breaking. You are standing there now. Heaven is aligning what must stay and shaking what must go. The danger lies in your grip, holding on to what God has already released. Listen, chosen one, the shift you feel is a divine alarm. This is not the time to compromise. You must resist spiritual drowsiness. Heaven is whispering, "Rise again, fight again, pray again." You are not finished, you are being refined. Every battle you face right now is evidence of your coming elevation. Remember when storms form, eagles rise higher. You are that eagle. The turbulence that others fear is the wind that carries you. The darkness that tries to bury you will become the stage where your light is revealed. And the Spirit confirms this through the ancient words in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 31, verse 6. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them. For the Lord your God goes with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. These are not poetic words, they are a command, a seal over your spirit. When fear whispers that you are alone, you remind yourself you walk with the presence that cannot abandon you. That is why hell is afraid of you, because it cannot separate you from the one who called you. Even now, the heavens are recording your response. Every act of faith, every whispered prayer, every tear you've ever shed in silence has become a testimony written in light. You are not unseen. Your obedience is echoing in eternity. The kingdom of darkness trembles when you choose trust over fear. Beloved, chosen one, remember, this divine strength is born in hidden places, when no one understands, when your heart grows weary, when all you have is a whisper of hope. That is where God breathes miracles. The unseen hand that carried you before will carry you again, into places your strength alone could never reach. And when the world doubts you, heaven will defend you. You will stand tall, not by your own power, but by the unshakable hand that wrote your destiny before time began. Do not fear the unknown path ahead. What waits there is not loss, but revelation. You are stepping into prophecy fulfilled. Lift your eyes. Chosen one, you are being trained, not punished. The danger was never meant to destroy you. It was meant to awaken you. You are crossing the line between ordinary survival and divine purpose. If this word stirs something in you, don't scroll past it. Stand in faith right where you are and declare, I am chosen. I am ready. Then, as a prophetic act of agreement, comment 777 below, a sign that you receive this heavenly message and refuse to fall asleep in this hour. Now, like this message, share it with another chosen one who needs to be reminded who they are, and subscribe to stay connected to the voice of heaven that keeps calling you forward. You are part of the remnant rising, and this is only the beginning of your awakening. The hidden war around you, chosen one. You have wondered why peace seems temporary, why joy feels stolen so quickly, why every step forward seems to stir invisible resistance. It is because you are living inside a war most cannot see, while others sleep through comfort. You walk awake through conflict. The unseen realm watches you because your obedience shifts atmospheres. You are not just existing, you are influencing realities. Every time you rise from despair, the kingdom of darkness panics. Every prayer you whisper disrupts demonic patterns. This is not superstition, it is spiritual reality. You carry light, and light provokes darkness to respond. That is why confusion has followed you like a shadow, because clarity is your weapon. The enemy has tried to wear you down, not through chaos alone, but through fatigue of the soul. Your exhaustion has not been random. Hell studies your rhythm. It strikes hardest, not when you are weak, but when you start believing again. The moment you decide to stand back up, the attacks multiply. The closer you get to obedience, the heavier the opposition feels. Yet, this is proof you are advancing. A soldier who feels no resistance is not walking toward enemy territory. You are. The hidden war is not about possessions, reputation, or recognition. It is about authority, yours. Darkness fears what you will become once you fully realize who sent you. Every attack against your identity was a strategy to silence revelation. When you doubt who you are, you surrender your weapon without even knowing it. But heaven is opening your eyes now. You are beginning to see beyond the surface. You've noticed it, the pattern. People misunderstand you. Opportunities slip away just when you're ready. Relationships shift unexpectedly. It's not coincidence, it's coordination. The enemy uses human emotion as camouflage. He hides his war behind personal pain, hoping you'll fight people instead of the real adversary. Don't fall for it. Your enemy is not flesh and blood. Every argument that drained you, every betrayal that broke you, every delay that made you question your worth, They were battlefronts disguised as normal life. You've been walking through a spiritual battlefield wearing civilian clothes. But now, heaven calls you to armor up again. No more spiritual amnesia. No more forgetting who you are. The same power that raised Christ from the dead is inside you. Look deeper into your recent struggles. The sudden mood shifts. The distractions that keep you from prayer. The heaviness that visits at night. These are not random emotions. They are targeted assaults. The unseen realm knows when destiny is near. Pressure always precedes promotion. God allows the shaking so you can learn to wield the sword of truth with precision. And the voice of truth reminds you through the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 12. For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. These are not poetic metaphors, they are battlefield coordinates. They describe the invisible reality surrounding your life. When you begin to pray, you don't just whisper into emptiness. You launch divine strategies into war. The reason you felt the weight increase is because your prayers have become dangerous. You've shifted from survival to authority. That is why your warfare feels personal. It is. You carry generational purpose. The curses that ruled your bloodline fear your awakening. When you say yes to God, you are not just redeeming yourself, you are rewriting ancestral patterns. The war around you is a war for legacy. The enemy doesn't attack the unthreatening, he attacks the transforming. Listen closely. The confusion you've been feeling lately is a decoy. When spiritual warfare intensifies, clarity hides. The enemy's strategy is to make you question everything: your calling, your timing, even your worth. But remember, doubt is not revelation, it's resistance. When you feel most uncertain, that is often when you are closest to breakthrough. Heaven's army is not far from you. Even when you feel alone, the air around you vibrates with divine backup. The same God who guided David through Goliath's shadow walks beside you through modern giants' fear, temptation, weariness, shame. They all crumble under the same name that has never failed. Do not despise this fight. It is confirmation of your significance. Warriors are not trained in comfort, they are forged in conflict. The heat you feel is refining your weaponry. The spiritual pressure on your life is heaven's way of sharpening your discernment. You are learning to recognize disguised attacks before they strike. And though you may not feel victorious yet, victory is already written. You are standing in a pre-scripted triumph. The author of your faith never writes unfinished stories. Your tears are ink on the pages of your purpose. What feels like chaos is choreography. What seems like loss is leverage. So breathe. Chosen one. The war around you is not proof that you are cursed. It is evidence that you are chosen. You are a threat to hell because you carry the breath of heaven. Stand firm. Stay alert. And let peace be your strategy. In the silence of surrender, God is fighting for you in ways you cannot yet comprehend. The war is hidden, but you are not. Heaven sees you. Heaven backs you. And heaven has already decided you win. The mark of the chosen one. You've always felt different, even when you tried to blend in. Something within you resisted the ordinary. You were never meant to disappear into the crowd. You were marked before birth. The restlessness inside you is not rebellion, it is recognition. Heaven's seal upon your life makes the earth both attracted to and uncomfortable with you. Since childhood, you've sensed it. You loved deeply, saw clearly, felt intensely. Others dismissed it as sensitivity, but heaven called it discernment. You notice what others ignore, and that awareness has made you both powerful and misunderstood. Every rejection you've endured has been confirmation of your distinction. You don't fit in because you weren't created for common ground, you were built for higher ground. This mark upon your spirit is invisible to the world, but loud in the realm of darkness. Hell sees what heaven stamped. That's why the attacks often seem personal. They are. The enemy recognizes divine fingerprints before you do. He tries to break you early so you never discover how dangerous your obedience could become. You've probably wondered why certain people drift away when you step closer to purpose. It's not because you changed too much. It's because your light exposed what they were never willing to face. The chosen cannot carry excess. When destiny approaches, God prunes ruthlessly. The ones who leave you are part of the protection you prayed for but didn't recognize. There are seasons when being chosen feels like being punished. You watch others receive what you've begged for. You remain faithful and yet feel forgotten. But chosen vessels are not designed for quick glory. They are built for lasting fire. The preparation takes longer because the assignment is heavier. Heaven cannot risk releasing you half-formed. That delay you hate is divine safety. You are being refined, not rejected. Hiddenness is your current training ground. Every moment of silence, every unanswered prayer, every door that refuses to open it, all builds spiritual muscle. When the time comes, you will carry what others dropped because they couldn't survive the preparation you endured. The Spirit spoke through the prophet long ago in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 1, verse 5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Before you were born, I set you apart. I appointed you as a prophet to the nations. Being marked doesn't mean being perfect. It means being pursued by both heaven and hell. That tension you live in is proof of your assignment. You walk between two realms, carrying eternity in fragile human skin. And though the world calls you different, heaven calls you essential. There are moments when you will question why your life seems harder than others. It's because your call carries weight. The same fire that tests you today will illuminate others tomorrow. The chosen are refined publicly, but comforted privately. You may walk alone, but you are never abandoned. Every chosen one goes through the dark night of purpose, the place where clarity fades and faith must lead. If you are there now, breathe. You are not broken, you are being branded with destiny. This fire is not punishment, it is inscription. Heaven is engraving your authority into your soul so it can never be erased. That's why your spirit feels heavy some days. You are carrying revelation larger than your current surroundings. People around you may not understand, but they're not meant to. They didn't hear what you heard. They didn't see what you saw. Stop trying to explain what was divinely revealed. Some truths can only be lived, not spoken. Look at your scars, those wounds that once made you hide. They are not signs of failure, they are proof of endurance. Every scar is evidence that you survived what was meant to destroy you. The mark of the chosen is not perfection, it's persistence. You are still standing, and that alone terrifies the enemy. Do not compare your process to anyone else's. Comparison is the thief of calling. You cannot imitate someone else's anointing and expect heaven's endorsement. God didn't copy and paste your destiny, He handcrafted it. Your journey will not look like theirs. and that is your greatest strength. Chosen one, stop apologizing for being different. Your difference is your doorway. The world needs what you carry, even if it doesn't recognize it yet. You were chosen not to impress, but to impact. The same presence that marked you will manifest through you. You will walk into rooms and shift atmospheres without speaking, because your spirit carries divine residue. So when you feel that inner burning again, that sense of divine urgency, don't suppress it. It's heaven's reminder that you are not finished. You are being called higher, into clarity, into power, into purpose. Now, as a prophetic act of agreement, comment, "I am marked." Let those 3 words declare that you understand who you are and refuse to shrink back. When you write them, you are not performing, you are prophesying. You are confirming to heaven that you accept your identity, and to hell that you will not hide it any longer. You have been marked, chosen, refined, and prepared. The world may not see it yet, but heaven already celebrates it. You are the evidence that divine selection still exists. Walk boldly. Chosen one, the mark upon you is not a burden, it is a crown. When the light becomes a target, chosen one, it begins quietly, the shift in the atmosphere around you. The moment you decide to walk in light, the darkness begins to notice, not because you provoked it, but because your obedience shines too bright to ignore. You are no longer invisible to the unseen world. Your illumination has drawn attention. And now, heaven watches as darkness rearranges its tactics to confront you. You carry something rare, purity of purpose. That is why resistance meets you at every gate. The enemy doesn't waste energy attacking the passive. He reserves his fury for those who radiate truth. Every step you take in alignment with God's will emits a sound that echoes through spiritual realms. It is the sound of authority awakening. Demons recognize it before you do. This is why relationships suddenly shift, why peace feels fragile, why strange discouragement settles without reason. It's not coincidence, it's warfare disguised as emotion. When your light grows stronger, shadows try harder to surround it. But remember, light doesn't fight darkness, it simply shines. Darkness only thrives where light retreats. So, chosen one, refuse to dim to make others comfortable. You have walked through seasons where your kindness was exploited, where your generosity was mistaken for weakness. Yet, heaven never asked you to harden your heart. It asked you to guard it, to shine wisely, not recklessly. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. Not every invitation carries alignment. Some are traps wrapped in praise. The chosen must learn to discern the difference between favor and flattery. The Spirit is training you to see beyond faces, to discern motives. Because not every smile celebrates your light. Some endure it while planning to drain it. The higher you rise in revelation, the more strategic your opposition becomes. The enemy no longer sends storms, he sends distractions. He won't always attack your health or your finances. Sometimes he'll attack your focus. When light intensifies, exposure follows. God is not punishing you by revealing hidden motives around you. He's protecting your next chapter. The truth may sting, but it saves. Don't grieve the loss of what can't follow you. Rejoice that it's being removed before it poisons your future. The purification of your circle is a prelude to expansion. Heaven speaks clearly through the Gospel of John, chapter 1, verse 5. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. Those words are not poetic, they are prophetic. They remind you that resistance does not equal defeat. The very presence of darkness is proof that your light is working. If the night seems thicker, it's only because your glow has grown. There will be moments when the enemy tries to convince you to hide. He'll whisper that humility means silence, that peace means withdrawal. But true humility is obedience, not invisibility. And true peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of divine confidence in the midst of it. You are not called to shrink. You are called to stand. When the light within you becomes a target, it's easy to mistake warfare for failure. But don't confuse opposition with misdirection. The storm does not mean you missed God, it means you moved closer to destiny. Every attack is a confirmation that you're advancing. The presence of pressure is proof of progress. Learn to interpret opposition correctly. The greater the resistance, the greater the revelation waiting beyond it. When darkness presses in, heaven is preparing to unveil something new through you. God often allows intensity before promotion, not as punishment, but as preparation. You are being refined into someone the world can no longer ignore. The attacks against your peace are not about your comfort, they are about your clarity. If the enemy can cloud your vision, he can slow your steps. That's why confusion feels heavier when breakthrough is near. But don't yield to fear, yield to faith. You are surrounded by angels who war on your behalf. They are not symbols, they are soldiers. Even in your silence, light speaks. Your endurance preaches louder than any sermon. Every day you choose purity over compromise. You testify. You declare that light still wins. You declare that hope still burns. You declare that heaven still reigns. And though the battle rages unseen, your victory is already written. You will not collapse under pressure. You will not be swallowed by shadow. You are being transformed into a living flame, one that darkness can never extinguish. So, when the world grows colder, shine brighter. When people misunderstand you, love anyway. When weariness whispers, rest but don't retreat. Because every flicker of faith you release adds another wound to the enemy's empire. You are not fragile, you are fire in human form, sustained by eternal breath. Chosen one, lift your head. The arrows aimed at you will miss. The traps set against you will fail. And the darkness that tried to drown you will one day testify of your endurance. You will emerge from this season not dimmed, but blazing proof that divine light cannot be silenced, only strengthened. The disguise of distraction. Chosen one. One of the most subtle dangers sent against your destiny doesn't come wrapped in chaos, it comes clothed in comfort. The enemy rarely begins with temptation that looks evil. He starts with something that feels safe. You see, distractions are not always loud, they are gentle thieves. They steal your focus a little at a time until you look back and realize you've drifted miles from purpose. This is the trap of the chosen to confuse busyness with progress. You wake each day surrounded by noise notifications, opinions, endless scrolling, and the world calls it connection. But heaven calls it consumption. The more you feed on distraction, the weaker your discernment becomes. You are not meant to be constantly entertained, you are meant to be enlightened. Distraction is like a soft lullaby. It sings you into spiritual sleep. It doesn't ask for rebellion, only delay. It whispers, you can pray later, think later, obey later. And by the time later arrives, the fire has cooled, but you, beloved, cannot afford to let your fire fade. Your calling depends on clarity, and clarity only comes through stillness. Imagine a river. When the surface is stirred by wind, the reflection becomes distorted. You cannot see what lies beneath. But when the water stills, the reflection clears. Your mind works the same. Heaven's voice cannot be heard through constant motion. It's revealed in moments of sacred quiet. That's why stillness feels uncomfortable, because it confronts everything you've used to avoid yourself. The Spirit warns through the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 25. Let your eyes look straight ahead. Fix your gaze directly before you. These words are not mere advice. They are a survival code. Distraction breaks divine alignment. The moment you look sideways at what others are doing, you lose sight of your own assignment. Your focus is sacred real estate. Guard it like treasure. Sometimes distraction doesn't come from outside, it comes from inside. The endless replay of regret, the what-ifs, the imagined conversations, those are mental thieves. They rob you of the present moment where miracles unfold. You cannot change yesterday, but you can redeem today by refusing to dwell there. Think of the gardener. He doesn't plant seeds and then dig them up every day to check their progress. He plants, waters, and trusts. The same is true for your purpose. Stop digging up what you've already surrendered to God. Let patience do its work. Growth happens in hidden soil. Distraction can also look like good things pursued at the wrong time. Even blessings can become burdens if they pull you from presence. When heaven delays something, it's not denial, it's protection. The fruit that ripens too early falls before harvest. Wait. You're being prepared for longevity, not applause. And in this modern age, another distraction wears a familiar face: comparison. It's the thief that whispers, "You're behind." But chosen one, destiny has no competition. You are not late, you are layered. Every step, even the slow ones, is part of your divine choreography. Stop racing, start listening. Sometimes, you must unplug from the noise to reconnect to the voice. Let your spirit breathe again. Go outside, feel the air. Watch creation obey its rhythm. The sun doesn't panic about shining, it simply rises. The moon doesn't compare its glow, it simply reflects. You were designed to do the same. Distraction weakens your ability to hear God, but devotion restores it. Every time you choose prayer over scrolling, silence over reaction, gratitude over complaint, you realign your frequency to heaven's wavelength. This is how you win the quiet battles that shape your future. And beloved, while this message reaches you through a screen, remember, it was never about the algorithm. It's about alignment. When we build this space together, we are not forming a fan base. We are building an altar of light. Every share, every like, every word you spread becomes a spark passed to another weary soul still wandering through shadow. If this message has reminded you of your focus, then let that awareness move into action. Support the voice that awakens your spirit, not out of duty, but out of gratitude. You are not donating to a person, you are investing in a movement. Every act of generosity, whether sharing this message, subscribing to stay connected, or giving to sustain the flow, becomes a prophetic echo saying, "I believe light should keep speaking." like a candle lighting another. Your act keeps the flame alive. Someone you will never meet might find their way back to hope because you helped this light continue to burn. That's how divine economy works. Small actions on earth create eternal ripples in heaven. So stay steady. Guard your gaze. Silence the unnecessary. You are too close to destiny to lose focus now. The world will keep calling your name with noise. But heaven whispers only once, "Come closer." The disguise of distraction is clever, but you are wiser now. You've learned to look past the glitter and recognize what truly glows. And when your heart stays anchored in truth, no storm, no temptation, no comfort can steal your crown. The valley of divine silence. Chosen one. The valley you're walking through feels endless. Doesn't it? The prayers echo but receive no answer. The signs you once trusted seem hidden, and heaven so loud before now feels quiet. But hear this truth: silence is not absence. When heaven goes silent, it's not ignoring you, it's observing you. This is divine testing, not divine rejection. There is a sacred purpose in silence. When God hides his voice, he is strengthening your trust. The chosen cannot depend on constant reassurance. They must learn to walk by conviction. The silence that feels like abandonment is actually heaven's classroom. You are being taught to recognize his presence even when you can't perceive his sound. You remember the early days of your faith, how you felt fire in every word, confirmation in every moment. But now, the season has shifted. The same God who once spoke in thunder now whispers in stillness. And though your emotions crave noise, your spirit is learning a deeper language, faith without feelings. This valley is not punishment, it is preparation. In silence, your roots grow deep. You begin to discover strength that was never visible in the mountain seasons. When the lights dim, your discernment sharpens. When doors close, your dependency deepens. What feels like loss is actually spiritual leverage. God hides himself to reveal what you truly believe. Heaven speaks through the book of Psalms. Chapter 37, verse 7. Be still before the Lord and wait patiently for him. Do not fret when people succeed in their ways, when they carry out their wicked schemes. These words carry an ancient rhythm. They remind you that waiting is not wasting. Stillness is not stagnation. In the stillness, heaven works in secret. When you can't trace his hand, you can still trust his heart. You see, the valley of divine silence tests every motive. Would you still pray if no miracle followed? Would you still worship if no blessing appeared? This is where real faith is forged, not on the mountaintop, but in the shadows where no applause exists. Every tear you've cried here has been noticed. Every sigh has been recorded. You may hear nothing, but heaven hears everything. The silence also separates voices. When God stops speaking, you begin to hear what truly drives you, the echoes of fear, pride, impatience, or surrender. This valley is where self dies and spirit rises. What feels like isolation is actually invitation. Heaven is drawing you closer than words can reach. Imagine the potter and the clay. The potter doesn't speak while shaping, he simply molds. His silence doesn't mean neglect, it means precision. So it is with you. The silence you feel is not distance, it's design. You are being sculpted in secret for a purpose that requires strength no one sees. This is why you've been feeling detached from what once excited you. The distractions that used to amuse you no longer satisfy. The Spirit is detoxing your desires. You are being purified from dependence on noise. You are being prepared to lead others out of their own silence one day. The valley will not last forever, but it will change you forever. You'll come out of this place with a new kind of peace, one that isn't shaken by circumstance. You'll stop begging for signs because you'll have become one. Your presence will speak louder than your words. Do not let comparison steal your calm. Others may seem to move ahead, receiving answers while you wait, but their pace is not your prophecy. The still season builds stamina. The silence is God's strategy to protect your foundation before promotion. When your voice returns, it will carry weight it never had before. So, rest. Chosen one, let the silence become your sanctuary. You don't have to fill every quiet space with questions. Sometimes the most spiritual thing you can do is breathe and be still. The God who began your story will not go mute on your miracle. This valley is not a dead end, it's a womb. What looks empty is actually alive with unseen movement. Seeds don't shout while growing, and neither will you. The silence hides your development until it's time for manifestation. Now, as an act of trust, take a moment and simply breathe. You don't need to understand everything, you only need to remain available. Heaven is closer than your confusion suggests. And if this word has touched the still place within you, if you feel the quiet pull of the Spirit reminding you that silence is holy, then comment 111 below. Let it be your symbolic declaration that you choose to trust even when you cannot hear. Because the silence that once scared you will soon become your strength. The God who seems quiet is writing the loudest chapter of your story. Stay still. Stay faithful. Stay ready. The next sound you hear will not be silence. It will be the sound of breakthrough. The voices of counterfeit guidance. Chosen one. There comes a time in every believer's journey when not every voice that sounds like light is speaking truth. The danger of spiritual maturity is not ignorance, it's influence. The higher you rise in discernment, the more counterfeit clarity will surround you. Not all revelation is holy, and not all wisdom comes from heaven. The closer you get to divine purpose, the more the enemy imitates the voice you trust. Counterfeit guidance rarely appears dark. It comes clothed in light, using the right vocabulary with the wrong spirit. It tells you what you want to hear, not what you need to face. It flatters your emotions but fractures your alignment. The voice of deception never shouts, it softly mimics, slowly twisting what you already know until you question your own discernment. You've heard it before, haven't you? That whisper that sounds like relief but leads to compromise. That suggestion that promises peace yet pulls you away from presence. That idea that seems spiritual but subtly centers self over surrender. The enemy doesn't always tempt you to rebel. Sometimes he tempts you to rush. And haste, in the realm of destiny, can be just as destructive as disobedience. This is why discernment is essential. To discern is not to judge others, it is to divide truth from nearly truth. You are being trained to listen not just to what is said, but to who is saying it. Many voices carry holy vocabulary, but empty authority. They echo scripture, but lack the Spirit. And the chosen cannot afford to follow echoes, they must follow essence. Heaven warns through the book of Matthew, chapter 7, verse 15, "Beware of false prophets, who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly they are ravenous wolves." These words are not ancient warnings alone, they are present reality. False voices are not limited to pulpits or platforms. They speak through trends, ideologies, even personal opinions that disguise themselves as revelation. Anything that glorifies independence over intimacy with God is a counterfeit call. You see, the greatest trick of deception is imitation. The enemy cannot create, only counterfeit. He studies the tone of the divine, mimics the rhythm of truth, then inserts subtle distortion. That's why some opportunities feel right at first glance. They carry familiar language. But the spirit inside you knows the difference. It always does. When God speaks, peace follows, even if his words cut deep. When deception speaks, anxiety lingers even when the promise sounds pleasant. Learn to watch the fruit, not the form. True guidance may challenge your comfort, but will never compromise your character. Counterfeit counsel, on the other hand, feels easy at the start, but costs you clarity in the end. Chosen one, be careful whom you let interpret your destiny. Some voices want access to your oil, but not accountability to your calling. They will affirm your emotions without anchoring your soul. But God is calling you back to intimacy, where the only voice that defines you is his. The Spirit within you is your compass. The anointing that rests on you teaches more than any opinion can. Trust it. When something sounds off, but you can't explain why, don't dismiss that feeling. It's discernment. The whisper of warning is not fear, it's protection. Counterfeit guidance also comes through impatience. Sometimes the enemy doesn't send a false prophet, he simply sends time pressure. He convinces you that if you don't act now, you'll miss everything. But God's timing never needs panic to prove itself. Divine opportunities come wrapped in peace, not urgency. The more you mature, the fewer confirmations you'll receive externally. Heaven expects you to recognize the voice you've already heard internally. The goal of spiritual growth is not to depend on signs, but to embody them. You are meant to carry God's voice, not chase it. And understand this discernment without humility becomes suspicion. The chosen must guard against pride disguised as wisdom. Just because you see deception doesn't mean you are superior. It means you are responsible. To carry discernment is to carry stewardship, protecting others from what once almost destroyed you. There will be seasons when even trusted voices seem unclear. Don't panic. The silence of men makes room for the clarity of God. When everyone's advice begins to clash, retreat into the secret place. The shepherd never loses his tone. It's the sheep who wander out of range. Tune your ear back to intimacy, and his voice will rise above the noise again. The counterfeit may glitter for a moment, but authenticity endures. Every false light burns out eventually. Only divine fire sustains. Your task is not to expose every deception. It is to stay too pure to fall for one. Let your peace become your proof. You are being prepared for greater authority. And with that authority comes greater noise. But fear not. You will learn to navigate through the chorus of confusion until one voice remains the one that has been calling you since before time began. When the counterfeit fades, truth will remain. And you, chosen one, will walk not by borrowed light, but by the flame of revelation that no imitation can extinguish. When heaven hides you, chosen one, you have been wondering why life feels paused, why the doors that once opened easily now stay shut, why visibility feels withdrawn, why heaven seems to have hidden you from the world you were meant to reach. You are not forgotten, you are concealed. You are not being delayed, You are being developed in divine secrecy. Heaven hides what it values most. Diamonds are not found on open ground. They are formed beneath pressure, in darkness, unseen by human eyes until the moment of revelation. The same principle governs your calling. The hiddenness you resent is the very protection that keeps you from premature exposure. You see, not all preparation happens under applause. Sometimes God places you behind closed curtains, away from the noise, because what He's building in you cannot be rushed by public opinion. Visibility is dangerous when identity is still maturing. If He unveiled you too soon, the weight of recognition could crush what intimacy was meant to strengthen. In this sacred concealment, God is purging your dependence on validation. He is removing the addiction to being noticed. He is teaching you that worth is not measured by audience size, but by obedience level. The unseen season teaches you to be faithful without feedback, steadfast without spotlight. That's the mark of the mature. The ancient words remind you in the book of Isaiah, chapter 49, verse 2, "He made my mouth like a sharpened sword. In the shadow of His hand He hid me. He made me into a polished arrow and concealed me in His quiver." This is divine poetry and practical truth. You are that arrow, polished but hidden, dangerous yet waiting. The quiver is not punishment, it is preparation. Every moment of waiting sharpens your accuracy. Every quiet day in the shadow of His hand forms precision that fame could never teach. Hiddenness also refines your motives. When no one claps for you, you discover why you serve. Are you moved by purpose or applause? Would you still sing? If no one listened, would you still write? Preach, love, intercede. If only heaven saw. God asks these silent questions in seasons of concealment, because He knows that public influence without private integrity is destruction in disguise. Heaven hides you so that what grows in you cannot be corrupted by comparison. When others seem to advance faster, remember their pace is not your prophecy. A fruit that ripens too early spoils before the harvest, but the one that matures in season becomes nourishment for generations. You are that fruit, ripening unseen, guarded by grace. The hidden season is lonely because your calling no longer fits the circles you used to dwell in, yet it hasn't reached those you're destined to impact. You live between identities too grown for yesterday, not yet revealed for tomorrow. But that tension is holy. It's the space where transformation takes root. You may feel unseen, but the unseen realm knows your name. Angels surround your preparation. Demons recognize the silence as danger because they know what happens after hiddenness release. The quiet is not the end. It's the gathering of strength before the unveiling. Look at nature. Seeds disappear into soil. Caterpillars vanish into cocoons. Stars are born in deep space. All divine processes begin in darkness. God has always worked wonders in secret. When you feel buried, you are actually being planted. The dirt above you isn't rejection, it's insulation. In this season, God is stripping away every identity you borrowed from validation. He is calling you to learn the joy of anonymity. The applause of men fades, but the approval of heaven echoes forever. The hidden ones become the holy ones because they've learned that the only eyes that matter are His. Be patient in your quiver. Chosen one. Arrows are only released when the archer has a clear target. If you move too soon, you'll miss your mark. But when He finally draws you back and lets go, Every delay will make sense. You will pierce through places your words alone could never reach. Don't despise this quiet corner of your journey. While you are unseen by many, you are being shaped by majesty. The shadow of his hand is not darkness, it's safety. When he reveals you, you won't just be gifted, you'll be grounded. You won't just carry a message, you'll be the message. Heaven hides you because the unveiling will be holy. The stage is not ready. The audience is not yet prepared. And the time is not yet full. But it will be. And when it comes, the very ones who forgot you will witness the purpose they couldn't perceive. You are not invisible, you are incubating. Stay faithful in the shadows. Light is waiting for your maturity. When heaven hides you, it's not withholding glory, it's ensuring longevity. The mirror of suffering. Chosen one. Pain has been your unwanted companion. It has sat beside you in nights of silence, followed you through days of confusion, and whispered that perhaps you are forgotten. But pain, when surrendered, becomes a prophet. It tells you what comfort cannot. It reveals who you are beneath the surface of survival. You see, suffering doesn't arrive to destroy the chosen, it arrives to disclose them. Every trial you have faced was heaven's mirror, reflecting the truth of your strength. While others saw weakness, heaven saw endurance. While you cried over what broke, God was smiling over what built you. Suffering didn't come to steal your identity, it came to reveal it. It's easy to love God on the mountain, but it's in the valley where intimacy deepens. Pain strips away illusions. It silences shallow faith and forces your spirit to speak honestly. When you are shattered, all that remains is sincerity, and God has always built his greatest works upon broken honesty. The Spirit reminds us through the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 18, I consider that our present sufferings are not worth comparing with the glory that will be revealed in us. Those words don't dismiss your pain, they redefine it. Glory isn't a reward after suffering, it's the transformation born through it. Every tear that burned your face was watering unseen glory. Every sleepless night became sacred ground where heaven rewrote your heart. Chosen one. Suffering has shaped your language. It taught you empathy the strong often lack. You understand others' pain because you've lived it. That's why God allowed you to walk through what you couldn't explain, because one day your voice will become medicine to those still bleeding. Look closer at the mirror of suffering and you'll see patterns of grace. Every heartbreak pruned pride. Every loss awakened gratitude. Every delay deepened dependence. The storms that once terrified you have become testimonies you now carry. You are no longer the person who entered the pain, you are the one who rose from it. Sometimes, the greatest miracle isn't deliverance from pain, it's endurance through it. Deliverance changes circumstances, but endurance changes character. God could have removed the fire, but instead, he walked with you through it. That's because his goal wasn't just rescue, it was revelation. Think about gold. It glitters only after the furnace. Diamonds shine only after pressure. Even seeds must split apart before life can burst forth. So, why would your destiny be any different? You are being refined, not rejected. Every ache is an alchemy, turning sorrow into substance. Pain has a strange way of making you more like the one who called you. Christ himself was not exempt from suffering. He wept. He bled. He was misunderstood, and yet through that pain came redemption. If he, the Son of Glory, endured the cross. Then your suffering, too, carries sacred meaning. You have asked God, "Why me?" And heaven answered silently, "Because I trusted you." Not everyone can carry pain without turning bitter, but you, beloved, turned your wounds into worship. You transformed agony into an altar. The enemy thought suffering would silence you, but instead, it gave you a voice forged in authenticity. There's a moment when pain stops being punishment and starts being partnership. You begin to realize it's shaping you for empathy, teaching you divine perspective. It refines your heart until you love deeper, forgive faster, and worship without needing reasons. You've learned that gratitude in pain is greater than joy in ease. Look at yourself now, still standing, still breathing, still believing. That's not weakness, that's proof of divine resilience. You've walked through fires that others didn't survive, and yet your spirit remains soft. That tenderness is your crown. This, chosen one, is the secret of the mirror. Suffering does not define you, it reveals you. What you thought was breaking you was actually birthing you. What you called loss, heaven called launch. The same pain that made you question your worth became the proof of your calling. And now, as you stand on the other side of so many storms, heaven whispers, remember. Remember that the same fire that once scared you now fuels you. The same tears that once blinded you now anoint your vision. If this word touches something deep in you, if you've been walking through silent pain and still choosing faith, then comment, "Still I rise." Write it as a declaration, not a reaction. Those 3 words are not defiance, they are resurrection. When you write them, you tell heaven, "I'm still standing." You tell the darkness, "You lost." You tell your future, "I'm coming." Suffering was never meant to end your story. It was meant to rewrite it. And now, because you did not quit, your scars are becoming your sermon. What once hurt you will soon heal others. That is the miracle of the chosen. Their pain becomes prophecy. The final warning before elevation. Chosen one. There comes a stillness before the shift, a hush in the spirit realm when even the air feels heavy with destiny. You sense it, don't you? That quiet tension between what was and what will soon be. This is not confusion, it's divine contraction. Heaven is birthing something through you. And before every birth, there is a final push, a final test that demands both surrender and strength. You have come too far to doubt now. Everything that has shaken you in recent months, the losses, the delays, the unanswered prayers has been leading here. The final test is never about destruction, it is about definition. God is not trying to break you, He's revealing what cannot be broken. The test before elevation rarely looks like one. It disguises itself as ordinary moments, decisions that seem small but carry eternal weight. Will you forgive when it's undeserved? Will you trust when evidence disappears? Will you act when comfort demands stillness? Heaven measures maturity not by emotion, but by obedience under pressure. And in this sacred tension, you are not alone. Heaven has its eyes fixed on you, not in judgment, but in anticipation. The unseen world waits to see if you will cross this final line with faith still burning, because the test you face now is the gate to everything promised. Even creation seems to pause, holding its breath as you stand before your moment. The same stars that watched Abraham walk by faith Now witness your own obedience. The winds hush to hear your answer. Every unseen realm leans closer. For your single act of trust will echo through generations not yet born. And when you step forward, yes, trembling but true, the heavens will break their silence. The invisible will applaud. The angels will record. And your story will shift from waiting to fulfillment. What feels like a private act on earth becomes a public victory in eternity, proving once more that obedience always opens glory. The Spirit whispers through the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 4, verse 17, "For our light and momentary troubles are achieving for us an eternal glory that far outweighs them all." These words reveal a divine exchange, temporary pain for eternal weight. Your tears have been currency in heaven, buying depth, buying strength, buying revelation. What you've endured is not wasted, it's being converted into authority. But before elevation, there must be purification. God cannot place a crown upon a divided heart. He will strip away attachments that cannot survive in your next season. People, habits, even perspectives will fall away. And though it hurts, remember, He removes only what would rot the fruit of your future. You might feel empty, but emptiness is the preparation for overflow. A vessel must be cleared before it can be filled. Every no heaven gave you was a protection you didn't yet understand. The delay wasn't denial, it was the divine shaping your character to carry what your gift could not yet sustain. And soon, when He lifts you, it will happen suddenly. The gates that refuse to open will swing wide. Those who doubted your endurance will witness your unveiling, not because you forced it, but because you waited faithfully. However, chosen one, as this message reaches you, remember something: sacred light must stay lit. Just as a lamp depends on oil, every message of truth depends on those who help sustain its flame. You are part of that light. Your attention, your presence, your small acts of support, they're the oil that keeps this fire glowing for others still lost in shadow. If these words have stirred your heart, if they've reminded you that your pain still has purpose, let your response be gratitude in action. Share this message like a lantern passed through the dark. Someone you may never meet could find hope because you carried light forward. When you like or comment, it isn't about numbers, it's about connection. You're adding your flame to a greater blaze. When you subscribe, you're not following a voice, you're joining a movement, a sanctuary of awakening hearts learning to walk in divine rhythm. And if your spirit feels led to give, do so not as a transaction, but as an offering, a way of pouring oil into the lighthouse that continues to call the weary home. Imagine a flame at sea, guiding ships through stormy waters. Each act of generosity, no matter how small, refuels that beacon. You're not donating to a man or message, you're preserving a light that keeps darkness from swallowing others whole. You, chosen one, are part of that sacred ecosystem of grace. You've received freely, now you help freely flow. The more you give your time, your prayer, your encouragement, the more the flame expands across unseen distances. And as you sow, understand this: every act of generosity plants something eternal. Heaven never forgets seeds of faithfulness. One day, when you least expect it, you'll walk into rooms your giving built, meet souls your obedience reached, and realize your ripple became revival. So lift your eyes. The wind is shifting. The shaking you feel isn't instability, it's momentum. You're rising. And heaven is positioning you for a visibility born from purity. The test that once terrified you will soon testify for you. This is the final warning before elevation. Do not move without obedience. But once he says, go fly, spread your wings, steady your heart, and trust the wind beneath you. The storm that once opposed you is now your chariot. And as you rise, remember, true elevation is never about height, it's about service. The higher you go, the more you shine for those below. You were never meant to climb alone. You were meant to carry light upward so that others could find the way. So breathe. Chosen one. The waiting is ending. The proving is complete. The wind has arrived. Step into the current of destiny, knowing that the one who called you will lift you. And when he does, the whole earth will see faith was worth it all. The threshold of obedience. Chosen one. There comes a line in every divine story where knowledge is no longer enough, where understanding must give way to obedience. You've reached that line. The season of preparation has prepared your ears. But now heaven tests your feet. It's not what you know that will shift the atmosphere, it's what you do with what you know. Obedience is not glamorous. It rarely comes with applause or confirmation. It often demands silence, surrender, and sacrifice. It will ask you to let go of something good to make room for something holy. It is the threshold where faith matures from theory into power. Many arrive at the doorway of destiny, but only those who obey without full clarity ever cross through. You've felt the weight of this call before. That quiet instruction that seemed inconvenient. That inner nudge that whispered, not yet. When everything in you screamed, now. That conviction to forgive, to walk away, to trust again. These are not small choices. They are thresholds of transformation. Heaven advances only at the speed of your obedience. The Spirit reminds you through the book of 1 Samuel, chapter 15, verse 22, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to heed is better than the fat of rams. Those words cut through the centuries because they unveil a truth that still shakes the heavens. God values obedience more than offering. He wants hearts that listen more than hands that perform. The chosen are not remembered for their gifts, but for their yes. You see, obedience is not about rules, it's about relationship. Every act of surrender deepens intimacy. Every step of faith builds familiarity with His voice. When you obey, even without understanding, you declare, I trust your heart more than my logic. And that declaration unlocks realms of favor no striving could ever earn. The threshold of obedience often feels like a contradiction. God may ask you to walk away from what looks stable, to bless those who wronged you, to give when you barely have enough. It feels unreasonable, but that's because obedience operates on revelation, not reason. You cannot calculate divine logic, you can only trust divine wisdom. Look through the stories of those who came before you. Noah built an ark under clear skies. Abraham left home without a map. Moses lifted a staff before the sea split. Each act of obedience defied logic, but unlocked miracles. The chosen always appear foolish before they are proven faithful. And that's what heaven is asking of you now, to act in faith before evidence arrives. The instruction before you may seem small, but obedience is never measured by scale. It's measured by sincerity. Sometimes your greatest test won't be a battlefield, it will be a simple decision made in private. There will be days when obedience hurts. It will stretch your patience, test your trust, and demand your pride. But within that pain lies purity. God is not trying to make your life difficult. He's making your spirit dependable. Before he releases power through you, he must prove he can trust you. Chosen one, do not mistake delay for denial. Every time you obey, something shifts in the unseen. Angels move at the sound of your surrender. Every yes you give heaven becomes a seed in the soil of eternity. It may look invisible now, but it is accumulating weight, forming the foundation of your next season. The threshold you're standing on is sacred. Behind it lies a version of you that walks in greater authority, carries deeper peace, and no longer hesitates between faith and fear. But to reach it, you must step. There is no partial obedience in destiny, only forward or stagnant. It's easy to say, "I trust God," until trust demands action. Obedience is the bridge between prayer and promise. Many pray for breakthrough while staying seated in disobedience. But when you act on what God already said, heaven responds with acceleration. The Red Sea doesn't part while you wait, it parts while you walk. So, examine your heart. What instruction has heaven already whispered that you've delayed? What small act of obedience could unlock what you've been praying for? Sometimes, the miracle is waiting for you on the other side of movement. Obedience doesn't guarantee comfort, but it guarantees clarity. When you step out, light meets your feet. When you hesitate, shadows multiply. The chosen must learn to move with the rhythm of divine timing, not the pace of public approval. And if fear tries to hold you back, remember, faith was never meant to feel safe. Obedience is not the absence of fear, it's the decision to move despite it. Courage is not loud, it's consistent. Each step you take becomes a sermon heaven celebrates. Soon, you'll look back and realize that every sacrifice was worth it. The places obedience took from you will pale compared to what it brings to you. The cost will fade, the fruit will remain. Chosen one, you are standing on the threshold of obedience, and heaven waits for your next move. Cross it with trembling faith. Cross it with quiet trust. Cross it knowing that every yes you whisper echoes through eternity. The breaking of old identities. Chosen one, before God elevates you, he dismantles the version of you that cannot survive where you're going. You felt this, haven't you? The strange emptiness, the quiet detachment from what once defined you. It isn't depression, it's transformation. Heaven is breaking your old identity, the one built from survival instead of surrender. You've worn many names through your journey. Some you were given, others you took just to belong. Too much, not enough, failure, dreamer, unrealistic, strong one. Every label you've carried was crafted by human perception, not divine intention. And now heaven says, let it fall. The titles you once needed to feel seen have become too heavy for where you are going. The breaking of identity feels violent because it touches the deepest layers of your being. You are being stripped not of dignity, but of distortion. God is removing every identity built on trauma, fear, or performance. He's tearing down every false mask you wore to survive, so he can reveal the face he formed before the world taught you to hide. This is not loss, it's liberation. The person you're becoming can't fit inside the skin of who you were. The more you resist the breaking, the longer the pain lingers. But when you surrender, when you let the old names shatter, you begin to feel lighter, freer, truer. The version of you that once needed validation begins to disappear. And, in its place, authenticity is born. Heaven whispers through the book of 2 Corinthians, chapter 5, verse 17, "Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, the new creation has come, the old has gone, the new is here." Those words are not metaphor, they are your metamorphosis. You are not simply improved, you are reborn. God is not editing your story, He's rewriting it. Every broken identity is being replaced with revelation. You are no longer what happened to you. You are what was promised about you. But to live as new, you must release the familiar. You cannot reach for tomorrow while clutching yesterday's costume. The world applauds the image. Heaven anoints the truth. The breaking of old identities exposes every false foundation you once called faith. It reveals how much of your belief was built on image instead of intimacy. This process often feels like loneliness. People who once celebrated you may drift away. Opportunities you once chased lose their meaning. Even your own reflection begins to look unfamiliar. That's how you know heaven is working, because transformation always looks like separation before it looks like restoration. When a snake sheds its skin, it must rub against rough surfaces to release the old layer. It's uncomfortable, even painful, but necessary for growth. The same is happening in you. Every friction, every challenge, every unanswered question is heaven helping you shed what no longer fits. You are not losing yourself, you are locating yourself. And this breaking is holy because identity is the foundation of calling. If you don't know who you are, you won't know how to stand when storms rise. God isn't just blessing you, He's stabilizing you. Before He shows the world your glory, He ensures your roots can handle the weight of it. Chosen one, don't fear the emptiness. The hollow places are where heaven pours new oil. What feels like nothingness is actually newness being prepared. When God removes an old layer, He doesn't leave you naked, He clothes you in purpose. The new you is being dressed in unseen strength, wrapped in unseen authority. You are being called to step out of labels and into lineage. You belong not to opinions, but to prophecy. The identity heaven is awakening in you was written before creation began. Every battle you faced was the enemy's attempt to make you forget that truth. But what God wrote cannot be erased. Soon, you will stand before the same people who misunderstood you, not to prove them wrong, but to prove God faithful. They'll see the glow of transformation and realize the breaking was birthing. You were not destroyed, you were redesigned. Even now, as you read this, heaven watches your response. Will you cling to comfort? Or will you step into authenticity? The choice belongs to you. The power to become new has already been released. All that remains is your agreement. And when you finally whisper yes, everything that was false will begin to fall. The masks, the fear, the self-doubt, they'll crumble. And from the dust of your old identity, the real you will rise, radiant and untamed. If this word speaks to the deep part of you, the one tired of pretending, tired of shrinking, tired of wearing the same old name, then comment 444 below. Let it be your declaration that the old has gone and the new has come. When you type it, you are not just engaging, you are affirming heaven's work in you. You're saying, I release who I was. I embrace who I am. That single act of faith becomes a spiritual signature, marking the start of your new season. So breathe deeply. Beloved, the identity that once confined you is gone. You are free, reborn, and radiant with divine intention. Heaven calls you not by your past, but by your potential, and your new name is being written in glory even now. The return of the warrior spirit. Chosen one, you have endured long seasons of silence, pruning, and hiddenness, but now heaven stirs something ancient within you. The sound you hear in your spirit is not anxiety, it's awakening. The warrior spirit, once buried beneath weariness, is rising again. What once broke you has become the training ground that now builds you. The fire that nearly consumed you has forged armor around your soul. This is not the return of aggression or anger, it's the return of authority. You were never meant to live timidly beneath your calling. The trials that humbled you did not come to silence your strength, they came to sanctify it. You are stepping into a renewed confidence, one that does not boast in pride, but in presence. For too long, you've carried your sword sheathed, thinking peace meant passivity. But heaven is reminding you, peace is not the absence of war, it's the victory of light over darkness. The warrior spirit does not fight for ego, it fights for purpose. You were not created to hide in fear, but to confront what others avoid. The Spirit declares through the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, verse 13, Therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you have done everything, to stand. The warrior within you has been patient. It has watched you weep in secret, question your purpose, and doubt your strength. Yet every tear has been oil on the blade. You thought the battle drained you, but it actually disciplined you. The shaking didn't destroy your footing, it strengthened it. What you see as scars, heaven calls strategy. Every wound taught you where the enemy strikes and how to defend others who will walk behind you. The warrior spirit is not loud, it's steady. It doesn't react to every attack. It discerns which battles matter. You are learning that not every opposition deserves your energy. True power is measured by restraint as much as by courage. The old version of you fought for validation. The new one fights from revelation. Your prayers are shifting too. They no longer sound like begging, they sound like commands spoken in faith. You're not pleading for peace anymore, you're enforcing it. You've realized that authority isn't earned by shouting, it's cultivated through submission. You bow only to one, and that posture of surrender gives you dominion over everything else that tries to rule you. This return of the warrior spirit is not about reclaiming lost power, it's about rediscovering divine purpose. You are being realigned with the rhythm of heaven's heartbeat. You will move when he moves, speak when he speaks, and silence every voice that dares contradict his truth within you. The warrior knows that the greatest battles are fought in the unseen. You win wars in whispers, in prayers at midnight, in moments when no one is watching. Every yes you gave in secret became a sword strike in the spirit. Every temptation resisted, every fear faced, every truth defended, it all counted. Heaven keeps score differently than men do. And though your body may carry the fatigue of many fights, your spirit is being renewed. The embers of courage are glowing again. You will rise from this season not just stronger, but wiser. The fire in your eyes will no longer be rage, it will be recognition. You finally see who you are and whose you are. The warrior within you does not crave applause. It moves in quiet obedience. It defends without hatred, loves without fear, and endures without bitterness. Your strength will no longer be reactive, it will be redemptive. The same hands that once trembled in pain will now heal, build, and bless. Chosen one. The return of your warrior spirit means the atmosphere around you will change. The moment you walk into a room, peace will follow. The darkness that used to intimidate you will now retreat at your arrival. You will not speak louder, you will simply carry more light. And that light is lethal to every shadow. This is who you were before the world made you doubt. This is who you are now becoming again, not a fighter of flesh and blood, but a vessel of divine strategy. The battles ahead are not meant to exhaust you, they will exalt you. You are not going backward, you are returning to authenticity, to authority, to alignment. So, lift your head, warrior of light. The time of retreat is over. The sound of your footsteps is the sound of victory returning to the earth. You carry not just weapons but wisdom, not just power but peace. You are the answer to the battles others have been praying to survive. And when you move now, you will move with heaven behind you. The warrior spirit has returned not for destruction, but for restoration. The war is not to prove your strength, but to reveal His glory through your resilience. And every victory ahead will remind you you were never defeated. Only developing, the scroll of destiny opens. Chosen one. The moment has come when the sealed pages of your purpose begin to unfold. You can feel it in your spirit, the quiet click of divine timing. The sense that what was once hidden is now aligning. The scroll of destiny is not an external book, it is written within you. Every line was inscribed before your first breath. And now, heaven is turning the page. You have walked through the furnace, endured the silence, faced the breaking, and yet, here you stand whole in ways you never imagined. The preparation you mistook for punishment has finally revealed its purpose. Each delay was a sentence written in invisible ink, waiting for the right season to be revealed. Now that ink glows with divine clarity. What once made no sense begins to harmonize with the rhythm of heaven. Destiny doesn't arrive as thunder, it arrives as recognition. One morning, you awaken and realize you are no longer chasing purpose, you are purpose. You become aware that everything you survived was a paragraph in your scroll. The betrayals, the victories, the prayers, the quiet nights, they were all sentences, forming the testimony that only your life could tell. The Spirit reveals this mystery through the book of Revelation. Chapter 3, verse 8. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. That open door is not a metaphor, it is movement. Heaven is giving permission for manifestation. The scroll is open because you have passed the tests that kept it sealed. God never hides destiny to tease you. He hides it to protect you from touching holy things before you are ready to carry them. Now, readiness radiates from your spirit. As the scroll unfolds, the memories of your past no longer sting, they make sense. You begin to see patterns where you once saw pain. Every valley was a line of instruction. Every mountain was punctuation marking divine transition. Your life is poetry, written by a hand that wastes nothing. But when the scroll opens, responsibility comes with revelation. Heaven is not merely granting permission, it's entrusting stewardship. What you do next determines how far this divine narrative will echo. You must handle this season like a sacred manuscript, guarding it from the fingerprints of distraction and pride. Destiny is not a destination, it is a rhythm. You walk it step by step, breath by breath, moment by moment. The scroll opens gradually so you won't rush into stages unprepared. God unveils glory in increments, allowing your heart to grow strong enough to handle the weight of wonder. You may notice that what once drained you no longer does. The fears that once froze you have lost their power. The very battles that exhausted you now empower you. This is the evidence that the scroll has turned. You are no longer reacting to life. You are responding to purpose. There will be a stillness in this phase, an awareness that you don't have to chase or convince anyone. What belongs to you will find you because the words have already been written. Destiny is magnetic to obedience. When you align with God's will, even the wind begins to favor your direction. And yet, humility remains your armor. The greater the revelation, the deeper the surrender must go. Do not cling to the glory. Let it flow through you. The scroll of destiny is not meant to be framed, it is meant to be lived. You are a living chapter of heaven's story. A walking prophecy fulfilled one act of faith at a time. Chosen one. This unveiling may surprise you. Doors will open without explanation. Ideas will surface that feel ancient yet new. People will enter your path carrying the answers you once prayed for. These are not coincidences, they are coordinates of divine orchestration. You are stepping into alignment, not accident. But remember, the scroll continues to turn. Even now, heaven writes through your obedience. Each act of faith adds ink to the page. Each moment of surrender enlarges the story. You are not a passive reader. You are the pen in the author's hand. The scroll of destiny opens not to show off your strength, but to showcase his faithfulness. Every line of your journey points back to the one who never left you. You are proof that divine timing is worth the wait. So walk softly, with reverence and readiness. The page before you is blank, waiting for today's obedience to become tomorrow's revelation. The scroll is open, the story continues, and heaven watches, smiling, as you finally live what was written about you all along. Standing amidst falling stars. Chosen one. Look around you, the sky seems to be dimming. Those who once shone brightly beside you are fading, some by distraction, others by disappointment. You feel the loss deeply, as though whole constellations are collapsing around your spirit. But don't mistake this darkness for defeat, it's transition. Heaven is rearranging the stars so that your purpose can burn clearer against the night. You were never meant to fall with them. Your light was designed to remain when others grow weary. It's not arrogance, it's assignment. God has trusted you to keep burning even when the sky feels empty. Every era has its remnant souls who stay faithful when many drift. You, chosen one, are part of that remnant. Even the stars that fall have stories, and heaven does not despise their fading. Every fall reminds creation that endurance is rare and radiant. You, standing still, are not just surviving, you are testifying. Your constancy becomes a sermon without words, a quiet blaze that tells the world, faith still burns. Remember, beloved, Light is not proven in daylight, it's proven in darkness. You shine most when everything else dims. Your perseverance paints hope across heaven's canvas, a constellation of courage only the broken can see. So keep standing. Your steadfast glow is guiding someone unseen back toward the warmth of belief. The Spirit affirms this truth in the book of Philippians, chapter 2, verse 15. Then you will shine among them like stars in the sky as you hold firmly to the word of life. Those words are not poetry, they are prophecy. The falling of others does not diminish your glow, it defines it. The darker the night, the more distinct your flame. But this isn't an easy calling. To stand when others stumble requires endurance of the soul. You've watched friends lose hope, seen leaders fall, witnessed faith turn into cynicism. Each fall has tested your own conviction. Yet, instead of collapsing, something deeper awakened in you, a steady resolve that whispers, even if no one else stands, I still will. The stars that fall were never your competition, they were your compass. Their descent only reminds you that your strength comes not from popularity, but from presence. What keeps your light steady is not perfection, it's persistence. You refuse to surrender the faith that once resurrected you. You have to understand when God raises a remnant. He doesn't choose the flawless. He chooses the faithful, those who keep showing up when the world grows silent, those who worship without music, believe without proof, love without reason. That's the kind of endurance heaven crowns. Standing amidst falling stars means learning how to grieve without giving up. You can mourn their fall and still move forward. Compassion doesn't cancel courage. Some stars were never meant to remain beside you. Their exit clears the space for new constellations of purpose to form around your journey. And yet, even as you stand, there's a gentle reminder from heaven, your light is not meant to shine alone. Flames live longer when they share heat. The reason this message finds you is because you're part of a living constellation, a divine pattern connecting lights across the earth. Each word shared, each act of faith, each small gesture of generosity becomes another spark that joins your light to another's. This is how we hold the night at bay together. Every time you share a message like this, you place another lantern in someone's darkness. When you like or comment, you're not performing a task, you're keeping a conversation of hope alive. And when you subscribe, you're not joining a platform, you're building a sanctuary where lights gather to learn how to burn brighter. And if your heart feels led to give, to donate not from pressure but from purpose, understand this generosity is spiritual gravity. It keeps the flame grounded in love, not pride. Just as stars are fueled by invisible fusion, the light of this movement is sustained by unseen hearts who pour oil into the fire so others can see. Your support, whether a word, a share, or an offering, extends the reach of this flame far beyond what one voice could ever accomplish. Think of it as tending a vineyard. You water not because the vine is yours, but because the fruit it bears will feed others. When you sow into light, you invest in eternity's harvest. Your act becomes a ripple, carrying warmth into places you may never step, but where your obedience still shines. You are more than a listener, you are a lighthouse keeper. Every spark of engagement, every prayer whispered for this message, keeps the beacon bright for those still at sea. And one day, someone will thank God for your quiet. Yes, that helped the light reach them in time. So, chosen one, stand strong amidst the falling stars. Do not dim to mourn their descent. Instead, lift your gaze. You were never meant to disappear into the night. You were meant to redefine it. Your resilience is a map for those who are watching, wondering if faith is still possible. And as you shine, remember, heaven notices. Each moment you refuse to quit. Each time you choose light over bitterness. The universe takes note. You are proof that faith still stands. Stay steady. Beloved, keep your eyes fixed on the horizon where dawn begins to whisper. For every star that falls, 10 more are rising unseen. You are one of them, chosen, constant, and crowned with light. The crown and the scar, chosen one. Every warrior who has walked through fire carries 2 things, glory and evidence. You are no exception. The crown upon your head and the scars upon your skin tell the same story, victory. Not in the absence of pain, but through it. Heaven does not anoint those who've never bled. It crowns those who refuse to quit bleeding for what was right. You have learned that holiness and hardship often walk hand in hand. The journey of the chosen is not paved with comfort, it's marked by resilience. Every wound you carry has meaning, and every scar has become a map of miracles. You are no longer ashamed of what hurt you. You wear it as armor. At first, you didn't see it. You wanted healing without memory, redemption without reminder. But God, in His mercy, allowed the scars to remain not as punishment, but as proof. They remind you that grace was not theory, it was tangible. They whisper that you've seen the valley and lived to tell the tale. The Spirit reminds you through the book of Isaiah, chapter 61, verse 3, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. That verse is not simply comfort, it is covenant. God has exchanged your ashes for adornment, your sorrow for song, your despair for destiny. The crown you wear is invisible to many but undeniable to heaven. It was forged in the same fire that tried to destroy you. Your scars are the jewels on that crown. Every healed wound carries wisdom, empathy, and authority. People will be drawn to your light, but they'll be healed by your transparency. Your honesty about the pain becomes a bridge for others to cross their own. You are not meant to hide what you've endured. You are meant to redeem it. The crown and the scar live together because divine authority is born from humility. God never trusts power to those who forget their wounds. The scar keeps you grounded while the crown lifts you higher. Together, they balance you, reminding you that every victory is grace, not achievement. There will be days when you'll trace those old scars and feel a pang of memory. But instead of grief, you'll feel gratitude. You'll realize the pain that once silenced you has become the melody of your purpose. Every tear you thought was wasted became oil that now fuels your anointing. Chosen one. You have reached the point where glory no longer blinds you. You've seen enough of both suffering and salvation to understand that true power flows from compassion, not conquest. The crown is not a symbol of superiority, it's a reminder of stewardship. You wear it not to reign over others, but to serve them more wisely. In this new phase, heaven will use your scars as language. You will speak healing not through sermons, but through presence. People will feel peace around you because your spirit carries survival's vibration. You've endured the fire, and that endurance emits safety. You've been tempered by trial. Your calm will become their courage. do not wish the scars away. Even Christ, after resurrection, still bore his wounds. They were no longer bleeding, but they were still visible. Why? Because resurrection doesn't erase history, it redeems it. Your story will do the same. It won't glorify pain, it will glorify perseverance. When you see others walking the path you once walked, your scars will become your testimony. You'll know exactly what to say, not because you studied it, but because you lived it. Pain taught you a language only the broken can hear. That's why heaven allowed it. It needed a translator of grace. You are that translator now. The crown gives you voice. The scar gives you validity. When you speak, hearts will soften because they'll sense truth wrapped in tenderness. People don't follow perfection, they follow authenticity. And authenticity always has scars. The more you grow, the more you'll realize that victory never meant the absence of wounds. It meant the refusal to let them define you. The chosen don't hide their past, they harvest it. Every battle that once broke you has become spiritual currency, giving you access to deeper compassion and greater discernment. So, walk boldly now, crowned yet scarred, gentle yet unshakable. The two coexist beautifully. They make you human enough to relate and divine enough to restore. The mark of heaven upon you is not spotless skin, it's healed skin. The world doesn't need perfect saints, it needs living proof that redemption is real. Chosen one. The crown and the scar are both evidence of love, one from the battle you fought, the other from the victory he gave. Wear them both without apology. You are no longer a survivor, you are a sign, and wherever you walk, healing will follow, because your story carries heaven's fingerprints on every healed wound. The rewritten story. Chosen one. The air around you feels different now. You have crossed the threshold, and the silence that once frightened you has turned into music. The pages of your life once stained with sorrow, confusion, and delay are now glowing with a new narrative. The final test has ended. The author has taken the pen again, and the story is being rewritten. This is not a continuation of the old chapter. It is an entirely new book. Heaven has closed the file on what was broken and opened the script of what will be restored. You, who once walked through ashes, now walk beneath open skies. And though your surroundings may not have changed overnight, something fundamental within you has shifted. You see differently, breathe differently, live differently. The rewriting of your story does not erase your past, it redeems it. Every wrong turn, every heartbreak, every mistake that once screamed failure has been absorbed into grace. God does not delete the old words, He reorders them until they form poetry. The very paragraphs the enemy tried to use against you now read as proof of purpose. Heaven speaks this through the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. That single verse is the architecture of your new beginning. All things, not some, not most all. The betrayals, the waiting, the tears, the triumphs, each has been woven into divine alignment. You no longer live as victim of circumstance, you live as vessel of orchestration. What once felt random now reveals itself as rhythm. You may not recognize yourself at first. The reflection staring back at you is no longer the version forged by fear, it's the one sculpted by faith. The old you survived by striving, The new you thrives by surrender. You no longer beg heaven to move, you move with heaven. You no longer plead for favor, you walk in it. The rewritten story does not start with applause, but with peace. It doesn't demand that you prove your worth, it allows you to rest in it. You've stopped asking, when will it happen, because now you realize you are the happening. The miracle you prayed for has become your identity. You are the evidence that endurance produces glory. Look around at the pieces that once seemed disconnected. Notice how they fit now, how every valley led you upward, how every delay bought you time to mature. You were never behind. You were being built. The divine clock was never late, it was precise. Your timeline is not measured by years, but by readiness. And now, that readiness radiates through you. The world may still see scars, but heaven sees a signature, a soul that has agreed with destiny. The ink of obedience has dried, and the covenant stands unshakable. The story that once read like lamentation now reads like resurrection. You are walking proof that endings are illusions. There are only beginnings disguised as closures. When one door slammed shut, you thought the story was over, but it was only the turning of a page. The hand that wrote Genesis is still writing your life. The same voice that called light from darkness has now spoken purpose from your pain. You will notice that peace no longer feels fragile, it feels fierce. It's not the quiet between storms, it's the stillness that commands them. The rewritten story isn't about escaping suffering, it's about transforming it into wisdom. You carry an inner calm that can no longer be stolen because it is not circumstantial, it's covenantal. The world may try to label you by your past, but heaven has already named you by your future. And when heaven names you, no human tongue can redefine you. You are no longer who you were on page 1. You are the climax of a divine plot written in love, sealed in mercy, and delivered in power. Chosen one. Your rewritten story is not merely for you, it is for those who will read it through your life. You will walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without a word. People will feel hope return simply by being near the peace you carry. Your life will preach what your mouth never needs to explain. And as you move forward, remember this sacred truth: nothing was wasted. Every tear watered tomorrow's garden. Every silence carved today's strength. Every loss built tomorrow's wisdom. You were not being broken, you were being edited by the author who never writes failure into his final draft. The rewriting continues, line by line, breath by breath. Heaven is not done yet, it's just beginning, the volume titled Glory. You are living proof that grace can rebuild what time tried to erase. So, walk forward now, not as one who escaped darkness, but as one who commands light. Your story is no longer about survival, it's about sovereignty. You are not what happened, you are what was written. And what was written about you, beloved, cannot be undone. Chosen one. If you've reached this moment, then you've walked through every fire, every silence, every revelation written for you. You've seen your identity rebuilt, your calling reignited, and your destiny rewritten. You are no longer just a listener, you are living proof of heaven's persistence. You are the scroll made flesh, the prophecy fulfilled in motion. This journey has not been about words, it has been about awakening. The message that once stirred your heart now flows through it. You are carrying light into a world starving for clarity. You are the evidence that God still transforms ordinary lives into extraordinary legacies. And now, as this chapter closes, let your voice join the chorus of the chosen. like this message, not for the algorithm, but as an act of remembrance, saying, I receive what heaven has spoken. Share it as a seed, trusting that someone else will find their way through your obedience. Comment below, share the line, the truth, or the moment that lit your spirit on fire. Your words might become another's revelation. Every comment, every reflection, every heartbeat of agreement turns this digital space into sacred ground. And if you haven't yet, subscribe not to a platform, but to the continual unfolding of purpose. Let every future word remind you that the call of heaven doesn't fade, it deepens. You are part of something divine, something that breathes through community and courage. Together, we are the constellation of the chosen lights scattered across the world, burning with the same eternal flame. So go, radiant one, keep shining, keep standing, keep becoming, for the story of heaven is not over, it continues every time a chosen one says, Yes, Lord, I'm still here.